Happy Fantasy Friday. This is the Banter and Bookmarks podcast. We are Lindsay,
Kelly,
and Catherine, and we are three book besties diving into romantasy with unhinged theories and a bit of spice.
Today we are deviating a little bit from our normal course. Yes, that is a spaceship joke. Ba-bam! Because this episode is about Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. We will start off with a summary and some overall spoiler-free thoughts, and then let you know once we enter the spoiler zone.
Catherine, was that a spaceship noise? Were you like, boo?
Boo!
That was just a Catherine noise.
You sounded like a spaceship.
Very,
yeah, it was very spaceshipy. Love it.
Spaceshipy.
So, pour yourself a drink, come escape reality with us, and let's talk about space books.
Yeah!
All right, first things first. Catherine, can you give us a quick summary of the book?
Ryland Grace is the sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and the Earth itself will perish. Except that right now, he doesn't know that. He can't even remember his own name, let alone the nature of his assignment or how to complete it. All he knows is that he has been asleep for a very, very long time, and he's just been awakened to find himself millions of miles from home with nothing but two corpses for company. His crewmates dead, his memories fuzzily returning, Ryland realizes that an impossible task now confronts him. Hurtling through space on this tiny ship, it's up to him to puzzle out an impossible scientific mystery and conquer an extinction-level threat to our species. And with the clock ticking down and the nearest human being light years away, he's got to do it all alone. Or does he? An irresistible interstellar adventure as only Andy Weir could deliver, Project Hail Mary is a tale of discovery, speculation, and survival to rival The Martian while taking us to places it never dreamed of going.
I am so excited.
It's funny because I think most people probably saw The Martian, like the movie first. And all of the laugh out loud moments, when I went back and read the book, The Martian, I was like, oh, that's Andy Weir. That's just his humor.
Yes.
So
yes.
I cannot wait for this movie because all of that humor we're going to hear in that movie, I'm like, no, that's straight from the book. Andy Weir is hysterical. His dry humor is the best.
Yeah.
So good. It's so good. Well, we decided to cover this book because we all just genuinely loved it. It is a really, really fun science fiction read. And I would say a really great science fiction read for someone who maybe hasn't read a ton of sci-fi in the past. It's a really great entry point. The movie is coming up very soon. I think actually by the time this episode comes out, it will be newly in theaters. And so we figured a lot of new people would be introduced to this story. So here we are. Let's talk about how everyone rated this book because this was absolutely a 5-star listen for me. I listened to the audiobook because Catherine made sure that I did. My husband was like, we own it. I loved it. You need to listen. It was just so well done. The story is fantastic. It is very heavy on the science, but in such an approachable way that for someone like me who I love science, I am not a scientist. So it was just enough for me to be like, oh, that's so cool. That's so interesting without losing me. The story was beautifully told. And then the narration was so perfect. The narrator did every single character in a different voice, in a different accent. It just was almost bordering on graphic audio level, right? Not quite, because I know there are different effects that happen in graphic audio, but it was just stunning. I loved it. I cried so much. 5 stars for sure. Lindsay, what did you rate it?
Yeah, the same. It's funny. Your sister, Kelly, came over to my house earlier and she is just starting to listen to it right now. And I was talking to her, kind of going back to what you said about the science of it, about how well the book does, whether you're reading it or listening to it. But I think especially if you're listening to it, because I've done both. I've read it and I've listened. I think that Andy Weir just does such a great job of putting humor in there so that even though it is very, very science heavy, you don't feel that way, right?
Mhm.
You're not sitting there going, "Oh, I don't understand what the science of this is. I want,"
Yeah.
honestly, the science doesn't matter
It doesn't. It
in
really
a
doesn't.
sense. You could tell me that astrophage, you know, did this or did that, and it wouldn't matter, right? It's as
Right.
long as it's there and it is backed up. I know Andy Weir is known for backing up his science,
Mhm.
except of course when he's creating a new species. But
Right.
um, but yeah,
It could
it's
happen.
right. It's just so approachable.
Yeah.
It's humorous. It's intelligent. It's a great book. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's true too because it's approachable for people like me and you who didn't study science but are intelligent enough to be like, "Oh, okay, that like, I get it." And then
Mhm.
honestly, my sister and her husband who are both engineers and scientists are probably going to eat up all the science and be like, "Oh, that is actually how that physics works." And they're probably going to love it even more. So, I'm excited to hear what they think. All right, Catherine, what was your rating?
Oh no, this was 5-star. Easy, easy, easy. My husband and I listened to the audiobook of this one together. And it was so painful because I wanted to keep going, but he was like, "No, only when we're together." And he kept slowing me down because he was like, "What, do you want us to sit in our bedroom staring at the ceiling while I play the audiobook?" And I'm like, "Yes, I want to listen to it. What is the problem with that?" And he's like, "No, wait for
Why
a
won't you
car
listen?
ride." But it is one of the books where I will tell people, and like Lindsay, I did audiobook first, but then I did read it as well. But it's one of the books that I would absolutely say do the audiobook. It's voiced by Ray Porter, and I want to say he won the I think it's called like an Audie Award
Yes.
for
Mhm.
that year it came out. I think it was in like 2022 or something. He won the award for the year. His audio narration of
That
it
tracks.
is spectacular because there's very few male, I would say, narrators where they do a female voice, but it doesn't sound silly. His
Yes.
does not sound
Mhm.
silly. He did such a great job with the female characters' voices. I just absolutely love this book so freaking much. And I'm wearing space pajamas for tonight's episode.
I didn't even realize.
Before you came on, Lindsay, I was like, "Are you wearing your dragon PJ?" She goes, "There are
Yes,
dragons in space."
Oh my
they're in
god. That's
space for today
great.
because if we can have a spider like creature like Rocky, who is to say we can't find dragons in space? So, space pajamas for
Love it.
There
this
you go.
night.
Beautiful.
Shout out
10
to
out of 10 for theme.
Blissfully Bookish for those PJs. We gotta
I
make
love them. They're so
some
soft.
Rocky PJs
I
next.
want Rocky PJs.
I
Oh,
know.
can you please make make Rocky PJs? I want that pattern.
Let's
I
do
would
it.
do that. All
Mhm.
right, everyone. So we are now entering the spoiler zone. So fair warning. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, because I can't
Bye.
wait. Okay. Bam.
Bam,
So
goodbye.
the bam. The book jumps back and forth between alternating timelines of Grace's time on the spaceship and his memories on Earth leading up to it. And as I was listening, I thought this was like a really great way to give us a lot of information without giving us a massive data dump in the beginning of the book. So I especially liked it for that. But I'm curious if you guys think if it was an effective way to build tension in the story too.
100%.
Mhm.
I liked it because I think it's a hard science book. So there is science, and without it seeming completely overwhelming, which I think if you did it chronologically, that would have felt overwhelming. But because you're going back and forth to him tackling the science on the ship and then leading up to it with his like just different interactions with different characters on Earth, it kind of gives the listener a little bit of a break from the science so you're still engaged and not just bogged down by it. Plus, I found just as much tension on what was going to happen to him in space during his journey as to how they even got to that point to begin with. So it didn't matter really which timeline I was in. I felt the tension constantly, and
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
liked it.
Yeah. I totally agree. I generally, as long as it's done well, I'm a really big fan of flashbacks in books. And I know that not everybody is, but I do love it. I think for this book particularly, we needed the flashbacks because I needed to care about Ryland Grace and I needed to love him so much before we found out some things about him that
We're in the
kind of
spoiler zone. Yeah.
devastated me.
Yeah.
The fact that he didn't really want to get on, like he kind of
Yeah.
when that scene when he was like, "No, I'm not going," I was devastated. I was like, "What do you mean?" Like all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh my god, he's not this great person that I thought he was."
Mhm.
And I feel like one, I wouldn't have been as devastated if I wouldn't have known so much about him. But if I
Mhm.
would have found
Yeah.
that out too early, I've been like, "Oh, f this guy." Like
You wouldn't
I
care.
Yeah.
right, right. But I already cared so much about him, so I think it was just perfectly done.
That's a
Yeah,
great point,
and
Kelly,
a good
because
way to
that really
fake it up.
happened. Yeah, because didn't that happen at like the climax of both parts?
Yes,
That's a good
it was
point.
I think it's like
later in the book.
midway, like
Yeah, yeah,
halfway or so, yeah.
at least
Maybe
midway.
later than that because I think you meet Rocky about 30%,
Yeah.
and so it might
You
have been around the, like, 60, 70
No,
I
that's
mark.
what
think it
I'm
is.
saying. I think
Yeah.
it was. Yeah, like, I think we had discovered what astrophage is, and we're trying to figure out that, how
Yeah,
to evolve its predator and all
yeah.
of that
Mhm.
while that is dropped, and I like your point,
Mhm.
Kelly, because I think I would have probably discounted him if
Mhm.
it had been introduced to us any sooner.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Because you
you
could
wouldn't have had the
see.
same respect.
No, exactly. And we
Mhm.
saw just how hard he was working and how much he cared before we realized that he almost wasn't even there in the first place because he didn't want to be. And so I think it would have hit different. And so I did love it for that reason.
I had forgotten that the very first description of Ryland Grace when he's waking up, which is probably one of the most comedic introductions to a character when he wakes up at like page 1, was he's like, "Holy shit, I'm jacked." Because I had forgotten that. So when Ryan Gosling, Mr. Photoshopped, is like presented as the character to play Ryland Grace, I'm like, "Are you shitting me? Him? He's too attractive." And then my husband's like, "No, don't you remember he wakes up and he's apparently like this jacked character?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Holy crap, he is. Okay,
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling."
Right? He surprised that he still has muscle
Yes.
definition because the robot arms have been taking care of
Yes.
him and, like, turning him and he doesn't
Mhm.
realize. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I want
Ryan
robot
Gosling,
arms and
honestly,
a
in
six
all of
pack.
the I know, can you make me fit too without working out? But,
While I
like
sleep. Boom, boom, boom.
right.
Ee
All of
oh, ee
the
oh.
the clips I've seen of Ryan Gosling, he is gonna be perfect in this role. Like, I'm so excited for it.
Oh god. I wanna watch it right now. Okay.
Mm, we still have
Technically,
3
we
more
will
weeks.
time travel when
Uh,
this episode
This
airs, and
episode
then
comes
you
out on
will.
the day that the movie comes out, so
well, if you're
So
listening to
we
it, we're
will be
going
there.
tonight.
yeah, we're going
Yep,
tonight.
we're going tonight.
Triple date
Triple date
plus Roman.
Plus
plus
Roman.
Roman. So I think it's kind of interesting because in a few of the books that we've covered lately, we have come across like this whole moral dilemma, this whole the greater good. And that plays such a huge part of this book. How did that affect y'all's reading of it? Because one of my absolutely favorite characters in this book, because she is so complex, is Strat, and she is having to make the very worst decisions
Mhm.
that will absolutely sentence millions of people to die. And
Yeah.
she acknowledges it, but she's like, "I'm trying to save an entire species." And I thought the way that character played out was so complex because, I mean, they're like, you're going to kill somebody. So many times during this movie, somebody is going to die because of a different decision that you have to make. It's just chock full of them. And I loved the way it played out in her character in particular.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting because ultimately she's right? Like, she
She
has
is.
to believe in this concept because she sends Grace to space without his consent, and he literally saves an entire planet and all of mankind and also all of Iridian kind. So she was right, you know?
Right.
Like, whatever side we wanna land on about the moral dilemma,
Right.
she did it, you know?
She did.
She destroyed the Sahara,
Yes,
but she was right.
but she
Right.
was right.
She
Yeah,
was.
I always wonder, like, where her authority came from in the book. Like,
Yeah.
it never really talks about her background, she kind of just is and has
Yeah.
all of this power, but I would love a little snippet of how she got there.
She
Yeah.
strat. She walked in and
She
just
just said,
demanded it.
"This is
And
it."
Said,
Yeah.
everybody
I am
said,
in charge.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It I envied her at parts of the book because I am a very emotional person and
And she's not.
she is
Mm-mm.
not. And she had to make decisions that I believe the ethics and the morals of it, that was the right choice. I would never be able to make that call because I couldn't, even if I knew it was what was right, because I could never look someone in the face and say, I am sending you to die, my friend, this person I've worked with, because it's the right thing to do. I couldn't do it. And so I think I admired her strength and her conviction and her like that in her character because it again, she was right. And sometimes you have to push down the emotion to take care of business, and I struggle to do that, so I just really admired that about her character.
Like her decisiveness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, not to be a conspiracy theorist, but sometimes I watch
Ooh.
movies like this and read books like this, and I always have, like, those random thoughts of, like, does this stuff ever happen and we just never find out about it?
Yes.
You mean, did Astrophage eat our sun and we
Okay,
never
not
found out
that
about it?
specifically, but, like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I get what you mean. Yeah, I believe that,
It's fun
yes.
to think about.
So
I
fun.
mean,
Love it.
probably, yes.
Yep.
But it was all they were a good contrasting, like, FMC and MMC. Honestly, they were
Yeah.
work wife,
Yeah.
work husband, because he was the golden retriever. He was the very emotional one to counter her bluntness, her exactness, her she's very cutthroat even, you could say about her. And you kind of needed two characters that would balance each other that way, and they did such a fantastic
Mhm.
job
Mhm.
with it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I loved them together.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if anything like this ever actually happened, no one would be able to agree on who the strat would be. So basically, our planet would die because no one would be able to agree, and decisions would get lost in absolute bullshit. We
Oh,
would all die.
100%. 100% because people can't yeah.
Like, we
No.
would need a strat, and we would never be able, as humanity, to agree on who that strat would be.
Right. Because people
Right? It
either
would,
want the glory or, it should be me. It should be
yeah.
no, it should be me. It should be me.
Or
Or
just
no
the
one would step up.
bureaucracy.
Yeah, it's
Right.
bureaucracy. And, like, imagine being a person on Earth while all this is going on, right? They have no clue what Grace is doing up there. They don't know if the ship blew up 10 years ago. Like,
Right.
isn't it 11 years or
Six
something like
I thought
that?
it was 16.
It's a
It
long
was
time.
it's a long time.
It's a long time. So, can you just imagine being a person on Earth and by the
I can
time he got
imagine.
up there, figured it out, and came back, it would have been 32 plus years
Mhm.
then. So, like, you've literally lived your whole life not knowing if it's even going to work. So,
Mhm.
imagine the bureaucracy that would be happening on Earth and the monetizing of this that
Right.
would be happening on Earth during that time.
Yep.
Yeah, she even made a point of saying, I know that I am going to create a massive influx of greenhouse gases and global warming. But she's like, but the sun's dying.
Right. But
So
if I don't, we're
between
going to
the
die
two
anyways.
things, we're going to freeze to death or I can have global warming. So I'm going to choose global warming. It will
Yeah.
at least keep us there a little bit longer. But she basically tells Rylan, she's like, you have it easy. I and everybody here on Earth is going to experience the horror that is about to come with no assurity. you
Mhm.
get off easy because at
Yeah.
least you've got a nice, fun way to die in space. And it's only going to be like, what did they say? Because they're going so fast, it's something like 4 years has
Mhm.
passed for him
Right.
versus the relativity of the time differential with her is like 16 years one way and 16 years back. So it's only been like 4 years for him. And she's like, you have it so fucking easy.
Right.
And
Mhm.
she yells at him at the end. She's like, why are you being so selfish?
Mhm.
Like, just go die. Or do you want to sit here and experience literally hell on earth?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
God.
like the scene too where she's on Earth and she's in a courtroom because she's being sued for sending
Yes.
everything that's ever been published up into space. And I think that is exactly what would happen here on Earth if something
Yes.
like that happened. It would become some litigious argument,
BS.
and
Yes.
she would be like, "Who the fuck
What the
cares?
fuck are you
I
Yeah.
just saved the universe.
Right.
Like, leave me alone about your publishing rights." But that's what it would
Right.
become. It would become about
Mhm.
money
It
and
would.
power and
Yep.
blech.
Yeah.
Mm.
People. Gross.
So, speaking of Strat, as three women here, I'm curious to know what your thoughts are because when she first put together the Hail Mary crew, she was very insistent that all of the members of the crew be heterosexual men. And obviously, it didn't end up that way. She got vetoed, but she was very strong in that opinion in the beginning. And I'm kind of curious what everybody thinks about that.
It annoyed me. I I didn't I understood what her points were. I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I see that that's what your opinion is." I don't agree. I feel like, 1, you are literally leaving you, Strat, as a woman, are one of the most, if not the most brilliant mind, and you're gonna say that just because someone is not a heterosexual man, that they can't be on this if they're the right person for the actual job. And I also think it's because what wasn't part of her reasoning to, like, we can't have people falling in love and we can't have, like, that to get in the
No
way.
drama.
No
Yeah.
drama. Drama can you telling
Right.
me that 3 heterosexual dudes hanging out for a year in a spaceship aren't gonna have
16
drama?
years.
Are you like, come on, like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's
Only four
just,
years for them.
for I think that it undercuts, like, how professional people can be, and I didn't I was like, "Come on, Strat, like, I like you in so many ways, but, like, it wasn't it for me." I didn't love
Yeah.
that.
It's funny though because 2 of the crew members ended up in a relationship before the explosion happened. So she wasn't wrong
Mhm.
about that. Like, they did
Oh,
end up in
yeah.
a sexual relationship. So what would have happened if they had ended up going into space and it didn't work out?
Yeah.
But wasn't it he was part of the crew 1 that died, and
Either
she
one.
was part of the
Yes.
Yeah.
backup crew? Yeah.
Right, but
Mhm.
either way, even if they
They
weren't
knew
on
one of
the
them was
same
gonna die,
crew
yeah.
or something could have happened to the first crew member and the other one would have gotten sent. So
Yeah. I
they
mean,
were very likely to be on the same crew.
they were. I just don't necessarily think that that means that they can't still be professional and do the job that
Oh,
they need to
sure.
do, and so it just I don't,
Especially
you know.
knowing that the world is depending on it. Like, you're
Right.
telling me that these brilliant scientists couldn't have gotten over their relationship drama to save the Earth,
Truly.
literally.
We're not in a romantasy book. They're not doing it in the tent while there's a war happening outside. This is not that, okay?
It's interesting that you bring that up because I think this is a theme that Andy Weir likes in his books, kind of the male-female relationship in dire circumstances, because in The Martian, wasn't it one of 2 of the crew members
Mhm.
were in a relationship together, a secret relationship that they didn't act
Mhm.
on outwardly, at least, like, when they were in space. But I think it's just something that he likes to touch on, like, just maybe human emotions, human interactions with each other.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember in the book. I know in the movie we don't see them in a relationship on the ship because it's not really from their point of view. Like, I don't think it would have brought anything to the movie. I don't remember in the book if you see it or not on the ship.
I don't know if you do. You're right.
I can't remember.
I can't remember because it's been a long time
It's
since
been a
I read The
long time. Yeah,
Martian.
it's been a long time since I read that.
But it's funny,
So
Kelly, because I knew you were going to have an emotional opinion about that whole thing. My entire thing about that was okay, the biggest hurdle to picking anybody on the crew is you have a science background and you have whatever gene they said was necessary to be able to survive
Yep.
a comatose state for an extended period of time and not die.
Yeah.
And that like
That should be
whittled
it.
down their candidacy to like
Right.
select individuals. And I was like, that was all I was thinking in my brain is like,
Yeah.
you have such a small pool of people. Who cares what that
Right.
pool is? Like,
Don't
you
it
just
doesn't
need these people
matter.
to not fucking die on the damn spaceship trying
Exactly.
to save
and
humanity.
2 of the people that you chose did.
Right.
Exactly. That was why I
So-
was like, all I cared about was like the science of those people need to not die.
Right. No.
But that's it. I was like, I don't care about their fucking
Yeah.
relationships. Like,
Right.
they just need
I
to be able
agree.
to live.
Right. And I agree. And I feel like with even though Strat is usually so scientific, I feel like she thought too much about the emotional part of it, not her emotions, other people's emotions versus exactly what you just said. There's only certain
Yeah.
people who can do it. Just pick the best people and don't worry about the stupid shit. That's so stupid. That's so stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. So what about the science of it all? What are our
Science.
thoughts in there? I know we talked about earlier about how it's a good entry point for people who are not used to science fiction. I think the use of humor in the book really makes it relatable. But were there ever a point where you struggled with that?
I don't know if I ever struggled with it.
Mm.
It could get a tiny bit tedious when he was trying to evolve the organism that eats the astrophage, that's like the natural predator to the astrophage. But they have to evolve that organism to survive in like an atmosphere that works with both of their planets. And they were going through countless tests and tests and tests. And it's absolutely necessary. I could say that was maybe only the time when it was slightly tedious, but it was only slightly and it was barely there. I loved the science. I thought that was one of my most enjoyable parts of the entire thing because it just showed such an intelligence of, I'm not going to just explain it away because the quantum made it this way. Like
Yeah.
Andy Weir just goes so hard into making this. Yes, it's unrealistic, but he's explaining it in a way that if we did have the tools to make it happen, it could happen this way. At least it's believable enough in a story that I'm not just completely discounting it. And I just learned way more about nitrogen than I think I ever knew about nitrogen.
But do I remember any of it?
No.
Also, no.
Yes. Apparently,
I
it
don't.
is the best way to kill yourself if you're in deep space and you don't want pain. Because I
There you
remembered
go.
one of those scientists being like, I want an entire like case of nitrogen so that I can die pleasantly. And surprise, surprise, that saved the day for the entire mission.
And then the other one just wanted like ecstasy, no, cocaine. Or what was it? What drug was it? She wanted a drug.
It
She
was
wanted
a
a drug.
I don't
She
remember
wanted
what
to
it
I
go
was like,
out just totally
she wanted to have a
high.
little bit of fun. And then also the guy with the gun. And I'm like, it made me think of in the movie, oh my God, I'm about to show my millennialism here. In the movie Armageddon, when he's like pulls out the gun and he's like, what are you doing with a gun in space? That's literally what I thought of when this guy was like, I want to have a gun. And I was like, according to Armageddon, you are not supposed to have guns in space. That does
No.
not sound safe.
Yes,
No.
because doesn't Armageddon
It's
exist
explosion.
in your universe?
Well, it's an explosion. A gun is a tiny explosion. You're not supposed to explode stuff in space. I guess at that point it doesn't matter.
Right.
But I don't know. It just didn't seem smart to me.
Yeah.
The only thing I remember from Armageddon is when he's like riding it and he's like, will you stop riding the thermal nuclear device?
Yeah.
He's like, I've never
He's
had
like,
such
I just want
power
to peel
between my legs.
between my legs. What a great, terrible movie,
Right?
honestly.
Oh my God, that made everyone
Classic.
cry when I was in the
I wonder if
6th
my kids
grade.
have ever seen that.
Oh
Oh,
God,
they
I'm
don't
sure.
should.
I'm
don't
sure they have.
traumatize them. I was traumatized by that
I'm
movie
sure I've
for a
already
long time.
Traumatized.
I'm sure I've already
Yeah, that's
traumatized
like
them.
part of where my anxiety comes from because I'm always stressed that the
Oh,
world's gonna end.
no. It was the double Deep Impact and Armageddon in the same
Mm.
damn year. Everybody's like,
Yes.
oh, fuck, where's the next asteroid?
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah. Nope. I also love the science. I think it was a lot of fun. Fun fact, in a previous life before I was an English teacher for like 2 weeks, I was almost a science teacher, high school science. And so I just think it's fascinating. And am I this smart in science? No, but seeing other people or hearing other people talk through how they get to the scientific experiments that they're doing and the way that their minds work is just fun to me. And I think that because Andy Weir's writing is so funny, it helped it because it was very sciency, but he was always, riffing on himself and be like, "Ah, fuck," and whatever it was that made it fun. There were parts I think that were a little bit long, maybe for someone who doesn't like science um as much, but that's where I think listening to the book is more helpful because the way that it's narrated, you
Yes.
could tell that it's like, "Oh,
Yes.
I can listen to this quickly. I don't have to deep dive and be like, what does that mean? What does this mean? And what is that?" It's
Yes.
not that. You don't have to worry about it. They explain the science to you in a packaged way, so it's not like you have to put the pieces together yourself,
And a lot of
which
the
was different
science,
for us.
Right?
true,
Yeah.
true. And a lot of the science, like they explained just so much the nuanced differences between Rocky. I shouldn't say nuanced. I mean, he's a fucking space spider, and Ryland Grace is a blob, a human blob.
A leaky
But
blob.
A
a
leaky
leaky
space
human
blob.
blob. But it's like Rocky requires a completely different atmospheric pressure. He like breathes ammonia. He eats through his carapace and then gets like
Mhm.
drunk afterwards. He has to watch you sleep and you have to watch
So
him
sweet.
sleep.
Oh my
It's
God, I love him
adorable.
so much.
I
But
love it.
so much of the that was science too, explaining how organisms evolved completely differently. Even the
Yeah.
language, he has literally a musical language. He has no eyes. He literally senses the world like almost through what is it, like echolocation, right?
Mhm.
And it was like the way that was, it was presented to us in a, yes, Riley and Grace is learning all of this stuff, but we're learning it too.
Yeah.
And we have a smart person like Riley and Grace who can like translate it
Mhm.
into a very humorous way. So it's like you're learning
Mhm.
it, but it's hilarious at
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
time.
But I also love how they explain it where Rylan asks, like, well, why can we hear the same things? Why do we both eat?
Yes.
And I love how they explain that they had to have had a common ancestor because basically I think Rocky says, well, we have to hear the same frequencies because if a predator is approaching you, you have to be able to hear it to run. And that was such a
So
simplified
smart.
way to explain that
Right.
that
That
I
could be so
loved that.
complicated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
And
I
Rocky was like, you dumb blob that you
Right.
yeah.
didn't
And
realize
the
that.
the intelligence level, he was like, "How is it that we found each other?" And then he's like, "Oh, right. If this had happened 20 years ago or 40 years ago, our planet never would have been able to send someone to space. So we are at equal points in
Yeah.
evolution that
Mhm.
we're at the same intelligence level." I thought that was so smart.
Yeah,
Genius.
because
So
he's
cool.
like, any more intelligent species would have found another solution.
Mhm.
Any other species wouldn't have gotten off the planet. And
Yeah.
that's why it's literally only those two, because you think life in the universe is not obviously very common. And so it's like to find these two, what did they say? Something like 14 light years away planets that evolved at like the
Right.
same time too, in such different ways. And I loved how they explained, like you said, with the common ancestor, and then they harkened that back to astrophages, common ancestor to the star that they came to. And it's clear,
Mhm.
like almost as what saying like astrophase was that like common
Common.
ancestor that kind
Mhm.
of seeded everything else. And I was like, that was just, it was nice bringing it full circle, kind of.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I also think it's
Very cool.
kinda genius how I cannot think of any other book where there is a non-humanoid creature
Yes.
that I love so much like I would love a humanoid character. Like, maybe the spell shop with Yaz, the talking plant, but that's like a magical talking plant, so I feel like it doesn't
Mhm.
quite count. But most of the creatures and the people that we meet are fae or vampires or, shifters, and they're humanoid in some way. Rocky is
Mhm.
so far from human,
Yeah.
but somehow he is so human at the same time. And his emotions and his communication, it's just so cool. And it's
Mm.
perfectly done to make you realize, wow, this is not a human. We are so different, but yet still feel that connection with him as if he was your buddy. I mean,
Yeah.
clearly he goes to their planet and, like lives a whole life with them. So there's something about them that feels human like to him.
Yeah. A connect enough to make a connection too.
Yes,
Yeah.
very cool.
So speaking of Rocky, let's talk about some fun stuff with them. Let's talk
Yeah.
about Rocky's description because I will admit that the first time I read this book, the picture that I had in my head of Rocky was that of in Toy Story, the
Oh no, I know what
the
you're gonna say. I
toy
know, I know.
the toy in Sid's room that has like a doll head and like spider legs.
Gross.
Literally,
And no
that's
hair.
what I picture of Rocky. And I know, guys, that that is absolutely not how he is described in the book, but that is the picture that has stuck in my head over the years.
It was one where I did have to go ahead and cheat, and I looked up,
Google, yeah.
Googled, like, visual, like, just I mean, these were clearly, like, drawings. There wasn't
Yeah.
Yes.
anything really good about
Yeah.
it, but it was still a drawing, and I was like, "Okay," because I was even struggling to picture this thing in my head.
Yeah. So he has 5 limbs with 3 fingers each. He is symmetrical, so all of his 5 limbs are evenly spaced throughout his body, and he's basically a big rock spider thing, right? He
Mhm.
has no eyes, no mouth, no ears, and he is about the size of a dog. But my favorite part is that he does wear clothes. I think that's so cute. And I love, love, love the scene where they're celebrating and he comes out in like his
Oh,
celebration
yeah?
gear.
His little fancy
Rocky the
Change
clothes.
his outfit.
fashionista. Oh my
Because he's like, "What's
God.
with the camo? Like, why do you guys all wear
Fashion. Oh
camo?"
Fashion.
my
It's
And
God.
fashion, sweetie. Look it up.
he's like,
I
"We have no
hope
eyes."
they put that in the movie. I
I
hope
know. I
Oh,
know.
because
yes.
I can't wait to see that on screen with his little fashion
I
outfit.
actually really hope
Fashion.
they do the voice similar to what the audiobook does for Rocky, where you hear a voice of somebody who obviously doesn't fluently speak a language, right? It should stutter stop because they've literally both just learned their language. But you know how the music played in the background while he talked? I hope they
Mhm.
continue that theme because I thought it was nice to remind us that he's not actually speaking words. He's literally like a piano talking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That is his
Mhm.
language.
It's funny too because when I read the book, it clicked in my mind that they weren't speaking the same language the whole time, that they were
Correct.
using, like, the
Yes.
program, but when I listened to the audiobook, there were a couple of times where I had to remind myself that they were not speaking the same language because the audiobook does such a good job,
Mhm.
like you said, of, like, making that voice
Yeah.
that I had to remind myself, like, "Oh, no, communication is not as easy as the audiobook is almost making it to
Right.
Oh,
be." Like,
yeah.
there's a huge difference in the way that would actually work. So I can't wait to see that on screen.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
Ryland Grace had to write a computer program for himself versus Rocky is like, oh, we just remember stuff because
Right.
we're way smarter than you stupid space blobs.
Leaky space blobs.
Lazy space blob. And I loved how Ryland was like, well, we do everything to the power of 10 because we have 10 hands. And he's like,
Yeah.
we do everything to power of 6 because we have 6.
Yeah.
And I was
And
like,
10
he's like, you're
fingers.
not good at
Okay.
math. I love when he's like, you're not good at math. He's like, I'll do everything in 10s because you're not good enough at math to do it in
Yes.
6s.
yes. He's like, you are not smart. I will do this myself.
Get him, Rocky. Get
Because he's
him.
also the engineer. And Rocky was like not even high up in his ship. Like his ship had ton of other Rockies around.
He was the maintenance guy.
But he was
Right.
just the fucking maintenance engineer,
know.
and he's a genius.
He is.
So
Can you
imagine what all
imagine?
the
Yeah.
intelligent other Rockies would be. I was like, yes, it's leaky
The
space
non-blue-collar
Bob is
workers.
Not smart. He was.
Okay,
he was a
so-
blue collar
He was, yeah.
space spider.
So I know we all probably have some favorite quotes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Amaze, amaze,
Amaze,
amaze,
amaze.
amaze, amaze, amaze. Like, so every time he said that, it was just so cute.
I like when
Fist
he
my
said
bump.
question. Fist my
Yes.
bump.
Yes. And when Grace goes back to save him and he's like, Grace, you're here, question?
Am calm.
So sweet.
You be calm.
Yeah, am calm. You be calm.
You are not usually stupid. Why stupid question?
How
Yes.
long since last sleep? Question.
Grace Rocky saves stars.
I love it.
You sleep, I watch.
Okay. The watching and sleeping thing is so stinking sweet.
Mhm. He takes it so
I
seriously.
love that.
He's like,
Mhm.
okay.
I mean,
guess.
it does make sense though, especially with just the two of them.
Yeah.
It absolutely
Yeah.
makes sense why you would try to protect each other and make sure each
Uh-huh.
other's okay.
Mm-hmm. Know what I want to
What
say
did-
to people from now on, though?
I watch.
Social discomfort, no talk.
Social discomfort, no talk. Kelly, I feel like you should have a t-shirt that says social discomfort, no talk.
Kelly, you can make us that T-shirt.
Make one. That's
Social discomfort, no talk.
talk.
No,
And
Kelly.
on those days, you just
I'm gonna do
need,
it.
that
Homework.
just need to
Homework.
Homework.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
do it. Yeah.
Really quick, you guys. Something weird happened.
I think one of my favorite conversations, I say that, but like they're all my favorite, but I love the
True.
one where Grace is like, Rocky, can you make screws? And he says, yes. Why? Question? He's like, I dropped one. And then Rocky's like, hold screws better. And then Ryland's like, how? And then he goes, use hand. He's like, I only have 2. He's like, use other hand. He's like, I don't have enough hands. And then Rocky's like, okay, I'll make screws.
Yes.
Use
So
hand.
good.
Oh my gosh.
Use other hand.
Use other hand. I've run out of hands, Rocky. Oh,
It's so cute.
Grace
okay,
Rocky
let's.
saved stars.
I
Grace
love
Rocky
that one.
save stars.
Well, let's talk about the eating thing too, because I found this fascinating. Because eating is definitely, as we know, a
Disgusting.
communal thing for humans.
Mhm.
It is disgusting for Rocky's species. It is something that they do in private. It is something that is just a gross necessity. Like you said, they kind of get drunk after and have to sleep for a really long time.
Rocky's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even Ryland says that it's disgusting. So it's not like Rocky thought it was that way because it was the norm. Like, even Ryland was like, no way, that's really gross
That's
and weird.
gross.
Because basically, right before you eat, out of the same orifice, you poop out your previous meal and
Yep.
then you put more in your mouth mouth orifice.
Orifice.
in your carapace.
Gross.
That's yucky.
It's
That's
very,
yucky.
very yucky.
But Rocky's very self-aware that it's yucky, and that's why
Right,
it's
right.
private.
But
Right.
it is cool that Ryland, as a scientist, is like, wait, I'm watching. I want to see that.
Right.
Like, I want to know how that works.
And Rocky was
almost
so
like-
bashful. He's like,
You're-
well, I mean, it is kind of equal to humans having to go to the bathroom, right? We know
Right.
that it is private. You don't just do that out in public unless you're a 4-year-old kid. And even then, some kids are like, no, thanks. But
I'm
it's,
surprised that Rocky never asked Grace about going to the bathroom, now that you say
mm,
that. Like, wouldn't you think that I mean, I guess Rocky isn't as much of a scientist in the same way, he's more
yeah.
mechanical, but there
I
were
mean,
times
it's
where Rocky was
mechanics.
very interested in how Grace's body worked, and so I'm surprised that that never came up, now that
Yeah.
I think about it.
Yeah, it's very true.
Andy Weir is like, I can only give you one toilet humor scene. I'm not giving you
Right.
two.
Right. That
Right.
I have done it. We are moving forward.
Right. Yeah.
We
But
are
the
Yep.
best
moving
part is the
forward.
fact that how private that was for Rocky. When Rylan Grace ends up in Rocky's world, they can basically see him constantly doing whatever he needs to do, see like through their like echolocation type of thing. So it's not like Rylan ever had any privacy ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Wait,
not.
Catherine, I just had a genius idea that our Rocky pajamas should say, "How long since last sleep?" question.
Oh, so
That would be so
Wait, that's
cute.
so
I also love
cute.
that we only gave Kelly homework for a t-shirt, but you've just incidentally assigned her PJ homework.
But I want Rocky pajamas that say, "How long since last sleep?" question.
That's really
You
cute.
sleep, I watch.
You
You s
sleep, I watch.
Oh my, we should just
So
make all Rocky quotes on a shirt, on a pajama shirt.
Okay.
okay,
Wait,
don't tell me
I am
twice.
serious about putting social discomfort, no talk on a shirt.
Yes,
Wait,
but
I
you
need
have to
to
do a
put a
picture of
Rocky on my
Rocky under it.
jacket.
I
You
I
can't
do.
should.
I need to put a Rocky on my jacket.
You do. You absolutely do.
Okay,
I'm
so
keeping this in. Okay,
Lindsay
keep going.
has homework, Kelly has homework, and I get to shop.
This is her best day ever!
How the universe intended it to
Right.
be, right?
It's almost like she planted this shit.
So good.
Amaze, just hands.
Amaze. So I also like it that they develop a rule that differences in their culture must be accepted, right? Like Rocky
Yes.
wants to have Grace watch him sleep, and that just becomes a thing between them. And there are
Mhm.
times where he's like, no, it's the social discomfort, like no talk. Like this is just how things are going to happen, and we have to accept that between each other. And
Yep.
I love that they do
Yep.
that.
If only humans could just all agree to that. Like, listen, we're gonna have some cultural differences. Just
Yeah.
accept it. Cool.
Just accept it and get along.
Right.
But
For the
Yep.
love of science.
but I love how it was applied to Rocky based on like private things, and for Ryland, it was because Rocky was just being way too nosy, and he's like, "It's just a cultural thing.
Right.
Back off."
Back
He's like, I don't have
off.
time for this. I need to science.
I need the science.
I also had a thought as the person on the podcast that always loves fantasy religions
Mm.
that there was a moment when Rocky says that he's going to give Grace enough astrophage to return home. And Grace's response is, oh my God. And Rocky doesn't understand. And Grace just kind of says, he doesn't even like respond. He's just like, he just keeps going because he's so amazed in that moment. But it's just interesting to me that in a book about science and comparing cultures and the possible end of their existences, they never touch on religion at all.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't you think that what we believe in would be a big conversation when you meet another alien race, species? I
Not
don't
for a
know.
scientist like Ryland Grace, because I think
Yeah.
I know enough scientists to say that 90% of the ones that I know, at least, are agnostic because they believe in science. And so it
Right,
didn't
but
it didn't
it's
shock
still
me.
humanity. I would just think that when you're talking about
Mm,
how your species works and you have these months and all this time on the ship
yeah.
together that it never comes up in conversation. I just think it's
Yeah.
interesting.
I think it kind of more came up from the fact that they took it from a scientific approach. They just
Mm,
their scientific approach was to talk about a common ancestor that
mhm.
seeded both of their worlds. And that was simply just enough for them because in their day to day worlds, religion just doesn't impact them. And
Right.
so it just simply doesn't come up because they're so science heavy that they don't think towards a deity, they think towards a common ancestor. So that's where they spent most of their discussion time, not necessarily on like God or religion, anything. It just was
Right.
normal
Mhm.
for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's not that I don't think that they are it's not a science versus religion question to me.
Yeah.
It's more of just you guys are so curious about
Mhm.
all of the inner workings of your species and you guys have all these conversations and I don't know when he said, "Oh my god," it really just just became
Yeah.
interesting to me, you know?
I wonder if they would have approached it if Rocky would have brought up the concept of a religion or a belief, but
Mhm.
because he didn't, I wonder if maybe that's why it never, because Rylan didn't seem like a very religious person.
Right.
So I wonder if that's why, like, if it was a foreign concept to Rocky, maybe it was just not included for that reason. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it is definitely interesting.
It's also makes me think of the fact that, like, they despite the fact that they went into space, that Arids didn't know about relativity. Like, there's
Mm.
so many things about science that they just didn't
Okay.
understand
But that was
still.
also ridiculously tragic because they
Mhm.
didn't realize about relativity.
Yeah.
So Rocky did not realize that so many people from his life would have gone on because his species lives way longer than humans do.
Yeah.
But that means
Mhm.
he was gone from his planet for that much longer. It also meant his planet was dying that much more and they did not realize it. But it also goes to show you how ridiculously smart their species was. They got to space without a concept of relativity.
Mhm.
And I guess it makes
Wild.
sense that they wouldn't because they got into the minutia of how they can't really observe stars.
Mhm. Right.
They
Yeah.
know there's an outer space, but they literally their species has no eyeballs. So what is their observable universe is a concept completely different to us because we could
Yeah.
actually see. And oh man, that was also
You're
another
not gonna look
fascinating
in
part.
right, you're not gonna look up and go,
Yes.
"Wow, what's out there?" You're
Yeah.
not gonna think about those things at
Mm.
Yeah,
all.
because they couldn't. Their atmosphere was so ridiculously thick with clouds. You wouldn't have been able to see space anyway, other than to know it is out there through their other means because
Mhm.
they are such a ridiculously smart species. But then they actually got to space, got to this thing all without seeing anything. And that is just
Mhm.
I love that he did not take Andy Weir did not take an easy way out with a species that could see. He was like, "No, I'm going to go
Mhm.
tackle this from a species that
Right.
can't even see a damn thing."
Right, to make it that much cooler.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
Mhm.
god, this is
Mhm.
such a fucking cool book. People, you need to read it. It's so fun.
Well, I hope they've
I
read it
think
if they're
if
at this point.
say, if they're at this point, hopefully
I don't
they've
know.
turned
Maybe
away or else we've
maybe they
ruined
just like cut
everything.
chaos and something, and they're like, "No, I still don't know if I really want to read it. I'm going to see what they say about it." I hope we convinced
Yep.
you.
Yeah, if you're a listener of ours, you definitely like
Mhm.
chaos.
Yep. All right, well, let's talk about the antagonist in the book, which was not a person. It is the astrophage, yet it is such a silent enemy. What are our thoughts about this type of antagonist in a book? I feel like it is something that we don't see often, but when it's done well, it is so beautifully done.
Do you see my comment in the
I do. I
outline?
want you to say it.
I said, "Amaze."
Amaze, amaze. Yeah, I think it's genius because I like to play board games. Me and my husband are big board gamers, and one of my favorite type of games to play are cooperative games because first of all, I always lose to my husband because he plays games so much that he is just a much better gamer than me. So I like the concept of the two of us working together against this other thing, against the game, against this. And so
Mhm.
to me, that's what this was. The astrophage was this thing that they
Yes.
were working together
Yeah.
to combat. And it makes it easier to not like hate a person or hate an enemy and want to go against a person. It truly is this amorphous, not really amorphous, I guess, but it is this thing that needs to be it's this mountain that needs to be climbed. It's this thing that you need to overcome together, and I think it's really beautifully done in this book.
Yeah. I saw someone say online that they were waiting for some big plot twist. Clearly, they were someone that didn't like the book, so fuck off. But they were like, I
I was like,
wanted
there were multiple.
You.
yeah, like Rocky to backstab him, or we found out that Grace had actually murdered his other 2 crew
Like an
members.
Is there not
interpersonal plot
enough
twist.
going on in the
I was just like,
Yeah.
worlds?
why are we expecting this amount of drama
Yeah,
in a book? To your point where the world is literally ending.
that's
We have
drama.
enough drama. Like, why do we have to add things like that? And
I
the other thing is, people were very upset that Rocky was seen in the trailer. And the director I saw did an interview, and he's like, he's the main character. Like, the
right.
fact that he meets an alien is not a plot twist.
No.
No.
It's introducing another main character to the book, to the movie. Why would we not show Rocky? Like, how would you
Yeah,
make
How
that
insulting.
right.
right? And I
How
was
dare
just
you
like,
not show Rocky?
right, yeah.
I don't know. People sometimes baffle me, befuddle me because what do you
Yeah.
mean? Like there was so much tension, there was so much drama. Literally the world is ending. Literally you have this like morally gray but actually kind of a coward character who like has a second chance to make different choices and have this beautiful ending and you still want someone to backstab you like
Mhm.
go watch The Real Housewives. Maybe this is not your thing.
Yeah, that is
The Real Housewives of
necessary.
Arid.
Of Arid, which I love Real Housewives, but this is not that.
Oh,
Right.
no, because you need that in a story that is lacking a solid plot and climax and comedy and
Mhm.
narrative. That's
This
not
isn't
lacking in
lacking.
this.
Yeah,
No,
for sure.
no, no, it's
For
not the
sure.
point. That's not the point. The point is
That
the
would be like
science
dumbing down the
and the
story to
moral
fit
dilemma.
you.
It would be. It's bigger than interpersonal bullshit. So much bigger.
It's interstellar bullshit.
Interstellar bullshit.
With
Bullshit skis.
microorganisms that are little shitholes that like to eat your sun and don't have a predator, which is such an interesting concept. The little guys could travel stars, but their predators could only exist in the atmosphere of the one planet where they originally evolved from.
Mhm. Wild. Wild.
This is a great book. It's just a great book. It's just a great book. What do you want from
So
me? It's a
good.
great book.
So good.
Well, let's discuss Grace as a character, right? He is, like we said in the beginning, if we had found out quickly that he never wanted to do this and that he was, in fact, punched unconscious and put on the ship, we would not respect him in the same way.
Mm-mm.
So, what are our thoughts on him as a character?
I liked that they did that. I liked.
He's flawed.
I
right?
liked, yes,
Absolutely.
because he
Mhm.
is human. And let's be honest, it is essentially a suicide mission.
It is.
And he said, "No, I don't want to die." And
Yeah.
we can all relate to that as people. I think him being okay with it would have been actually not believable. Him showing that he's not this indestructible and infallible character. He makes mistakes. He is scared of dying, just like normal humans would be, I think was the correct way to go.
Mhm. Yeah, and it just gives so much more space, I think, for his character growth because we can see that he was so good in so many ways, and yet when it came down to it, was afraid and didn't want to die and
Mhm.
had to be forced onto it. And then he's given a second chance and he makes a bunch of choices that ultimately saves the world and saves Irid. And I think it's a really beautiful way to show that you can be flawed. You can have a lot of really great things
Mhm.
about you. You can be flawed. You can make mistakes, or you can make choices that maybe other people don't agree with, whether it was a mistake or not. That's, I think,
Yeah.
another moral conversation, but you can redeem yourself and you can turn it around in a way that is meaningful and have a meaningful life, even if it's not maybe what you planned. I feel like there's so
Yeah.
many like morals of the story for this. Um,
What
yeah.
about the moment, though, when he turns around and saves Rocky? Like, yes, he sends the beetles on, but he doesn't know if those beetles are going to make it to Earth. So he really risks Earth for Rocky.
Mhm.
What is that moment?
Can you
Honestly, it
remind me Go ahead.
yeah. No, I can remind you.
Can
I
you
c
remind me if
yeah.
can you remind me if wouldn't he have not really known regardless, or was there like something that he could have done differently that would have made sure that he knew that they would get to Earth? I
He
don't
would have
remember.
gone back. No, he would have gone
He
back.
would have
Yeah.
actually gone back.
So
Okay.
the Beatles
Yeah.
would have gotten there before him. They were a backup
And
plan.
then
The
he would have been
Beatles,
able
and
to
then he would have, so he sent the Beatles off without knowing if they were going to. And he said, If I turn around and get Rocky, I don't have enough food. That
Mm,
was it. I don't have enough
yes,
food
yes.
to last me to get home. So
He was gonna
I
die no
have
matter
to make
what.
a choice.
Right.
But he could have destroyed Earth in that process to save
Mhm.
Rocky. So you talk about the greater good. He turned around to save his one friend. And again, I only bring this up. I'm not saying that he's right or wrong, but all the moral dilemmas and the four greater goods, this is just another aspect of that. He saved his one friend and didn't know that the Earth was saved.
To be
Mhm.
fair, I always read it as there was a statistically high chance those beetles were going to make it because there was 4 of them that had the exact same data on every single one of them. And I think they even talked about the statistics of that they will probably make it fine. Totally heard your point that they might not
Yeah.
have, yes, but I think it wasn't 100% done of like just throwing it up in the air and seeing if humanity will be saved. Like he had a knowledge that like there's a solid chance that
He
it's
wouldn't have
going
made
to
it home
make it.
though, you just said, right? He wouldn't have made it home
No,
No,
anyway.
he
no,
could have either made it home or gone
Or
to
he
save
couldn't have
yeah.
Rocky
done
because he
both.
didn't
So
have enough food. Yeah.
but I guess what I'm taking it from the standpoint of he realistically thought the Beatles are going to make it to Earth. So really, he's just talking about his own life at that point. And
Mm,
I see, I did not read it that way at all. I read
yeah,
it that he made another selfish choice in that moment to go save
mm,
his friend because yes, even and remember they're down to 3 Beatles because Rocky took one of them. So they're
mhm.
down to 3. So I don't know, that's just a big yes, statistically they would have made it, but that's a big statistic to wager your entire
I
planet
think it was
on.
also he was
Mhm.
battling the statistic of himself going into a coma again because he would have had to have gone into a coma. He did not have enough
Mhm.
food. So he would have had to have put himself back into a coma. So he's like, what's the likelihood of me also making it back there? Because I've already put my body through a coma once. All of
And
my
2 people died
And
died.
2
in the
There's a
people
good
coma,
died,
chance
yeah.
I'll
yeah.
die and not make it either. He's like, I can guarantee I can get to Rocky. I can't even guarantee I'm a backup to the Beatles, you know? So, I mean,
Yeah.
I saw a lot of hard choices.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I didn't read it as selfish. I read it also, I think, similarly to Catherine. I thought that as a scientist, he looked at the data and said, "It's
Yeah.
most likely gonna get to Earth, and I have a chance to also save my friend, and I'm gonna do the thing that I think is gonna save both." And so that's what he took a risk. Yes, it was still a risk, but I think he was like,
Mhm.
statistically speaking, how can I do the most possible good? And he saw that as his best option to do it. So I didn't see it as selfish. I saw it as how can I do the most amount of good possible with data to back it up.
But it goes to show you people will read a book different ways. They'll
Oh,
take
Yeah.
from it
100%.
different things. And
Yeah.
it's not to say one's right or one's wrong. It's just, it's
Mhm.
your feeling for a
Yeah.
book one way or the other.
Yep.
I think my take on it too was really driven by having found out that he didn't want to go to Earth, that he didn't want to sacrifice himself.
It was a
And
lot for
so
you.
there was already an innate selfishness in him. And again, I'm not making a moral, you know, decision whether I think that's right or wrong, but it is an innate selfishness of him saying, I don't want to die, right? I just because I can save the world, I don't want to die. And so to me, that's a big part of his character. And I saw it in this moment too,
Mm.
where he's like, I don't want my friend to die. I don't care what happens to the earth. I don't want my friend to die.
But he
Mm.
grew because he expected to die himself.
He did. He was
So
Yeah.
willing to
he
sacrifice
at
himself.
least
Yeah.
got
Mhm.
past the I don't want to die, I will save my
Yeah.
friend.
Going off of my thought about his character, though, further pushes that for me is that when he goes to Irid, he has no idea if Earth survived. And he says that he's completely come to terms with that. And when Rocky tells him, hey, we found out Earth survived, it's been 16 years. And he's like, okay, cool. So, like, there's just still that moment with him where he really doesn't care.
I don't know if I took it as okay, cool. I didn't interpret it that way for me.
He does. He's like, oh, that's great. But like, I've kind of come to terms with the fact that I don't really know.
Yes, because to be fair, he was living on a planet that was not made for a human to live on it. He is
And they made
aged.
it, and it's so sweet.
Yes, but he is also aged terribly as a result of living on a planet that is not for a human. So
Mhm.
he's realistically saying, I didn't know if I would make it long enough to see this. So I
Yeah.
think it's also just a lot of shock that you're experiencing because you don't get a come down from him being told that news. He's just told it. And I think he's just very overwhelmed in the moment because I didn't take it as, okay, cool. I kind of took it as him just being a little bit overwhelmed in the moment and more of a, I didn't think that was going to happen. Like that
Yeah.
I was going to see any evidence of anything. I had come to the terms with the fact that I probably wouldn't see evidence. And I'm just processing the fact that there
Yeah.
is literally evidence that it worked. And I
Yeah.
cannot believe it.
Yeah. I think him coming to terms with everything is really kind of a defense, a protection mechanism. Because again, why
I
I
would
am not
never be able to come
I
to
would
terms with it.
never
Right. Never.
I would be so anxious. I think I
Yeah.
would die of anxiety, like truly of anxiety, because I would be so anxious. Did I do the right thing? Did I not do the right thing? Is everything
Mhm.
okay? Oh my God. Oh my God.
And I think
And I
that's
think it's
my
a
problem with
protection
it.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that I do think though there are people who are mentally and emotionally stronger than I am. Uh, my husband and has been to war and has had to put things in a box in his mind
Mhm.
and shut it down in a way that I know that I could not
Right.
in that
Yeah.
same way. And it is a protection mechanism, and he has had to do those things. This is a different scale, but I had to make a choice. I can't do anything about
Yeah.
it now. And to protect myself and to move on, I have to lock it in a box and come to terms with it. And so that's why I feel like it is realistic, because I've seen my husband have to
Yeah.
do that, you know?
Yeah, I think I just think about
Compartmentalize.
it
Yes.
with the way that I would handle it, and I'm not even a strongly emotional person like
Yep.
that, and I
I
don't
could
think
not.
I would be able to do it.
No, I know I couldn't. I know I could
Catherine
not.
could. Catherine would be like,
Do you
I save the
know?
world.
So
I
Grace
could be a
Rock
teacher
Grace
now over
Rocky
here.
save stars, whatever.
Amaze.
Amaze.
Harry Potter reference. I think it was people
Ooh.
that could compartmentalize things really well were the ones that were also good at the legitimens spell to get into people's
Mm.
minds, and they could also stop people from getting into their minds. And that was why Draco Malfoy was really good at that spell, and Harry Potter wasn't. That's a little bit of a tangent, but I thought I'd let you
See,
know.
I would not be good at that.
Also, we did already make a Harry Potter reference when we said for the greater good, because that is the slogan
Mhm.
of one Grindelwald.
True.
Grindelwald.
He
Grindelwald.
would have been the woman in this.
Strat.
Yes.
He was-
Grindelwald would have made a great strat. Dumbledore would have
Yes.
made a great strat.
Yes, he would have. He would have.
I vote Dumbledore for strat
I
2026.
vote Dumbledore for Rocky.
No. No. No.
What?
No.
He's funny.
No.
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 Moving on.
No. No.
Wrong.
Okay, but
Mm-mm.
one thing
Incorrect.
I do like is the fact that we get to witness Ryland's redemption arc while the story unfolds.
I
So,
agree.
like, he's literally living
Mhm.
his redemption arc
Yes.
before you even realize he needs to have one.
Yeah, that is
And
cool.
I think that also lessened
I
the
love that.
blow
Mhm.
that for me, because I'm like, I know what it took for you to get there. And he's realizing his memory is coming back. He knows that he was that coward, but he also didn't stop fighting for Earth. He figured it out and he's still fighting for Earth. And I think
Mhm.
that is what made it even more redeemable for me, is the fact that I got to experience his redemption arc before I knew he needed one.
Mhm.
And I really liked that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
agree with that. Again, it kind of goes back to why you do the flashbacks and why you see it in that way. And that's absolutely
Powerful.
part of it. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he finished his life teaching, right? That was his ultimate goal. That was one of the
Yeah.
reasons he gave Strat to say, no, I don't want to go do this. I just want to help my kids. And that's what he ended up being able to do.
Yes, I love that he ended his life as how he began the story.
Mm-hmm.
He's literally just a teacher for kids. It's not even like a professor or anything. He's literally teaching kids. That's what he wanted to do. It's beautiful. And he's got his
It's
like
beautiful.
massive organ piano thing that he's being able to do
Yeah.
his language through. It's
And knee
gorgeous.
burgers.
Yes, he's eating himself.
That was interesting, but it is, like I said before, it's so sweet that they did so many things to accommodate him, and like he was able to give them so much information, and they really did work to give it
Yes.
back to
He
him in
had a
return.
whole committee that was all
Mhm.
for
So
keeping
cute.
him alive. And he's
Love
like,
it.
I went through so many nutrient
Mhm.
deficiencies before we decided that I just needed to eat myself.
Right.
Mhm.
Knee
Mhm.
burgers.
Knee burger.
That's compartmentalizing right there. He's
Yes.
eating himself.
100%. Listen, in the name of science, you
Absolutely.
could probably do a whole lot. Guys, this book was such a feel-good book in the face of such crazy tragedy and scary,
Mhm.
scary situations. And I just think it's such a beautiful message of like when they talk about his life on Earth, like he wasn't necessarily always the happiest guy or like super thrilled with his life, right? Like in the beginning, like, yeah, he wanted to teach his kids and things like that, but they talk about him as like being very lonely and all of that kind of stuff. And I
Yeah,
feel
he has
like
no friends.
no
He was
friends,
not thriving.
no, he wasn't in
Mhm.
like he wasn't married or in like a committed relationship or anything like that. And I just feel like it is such a, could you imagine someone with this kind of an opportunity to go and do this amazing thing and save the freaking world and live out the rest of your days in a community that loves you so much and that you feel like so connected to? It was just so beautiful and I loved it and I cried for like 3 days after I
It's
finished.
it's not a cozy read, but it ends cozy.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Mhm.
And but it's like wild because it's like, I can't imagine not being on Earth. Like, what do you mean I don't live on Earth? But I mean, if you don't have a family to go back to and you've created a family
Yeah.
in a sense,
Rocky is his family.
Rocky is his family.
And they're best friends forever.
They're
They are.
brothers.
I cannot
Yeah.
wait to see this in the movie.
I mean, trauma bonding for
trauma
sure.
bonded. Yes.
I'll take it.
I have
Yeah.
heard
And-
people say that it is even better in the movie,
Fantastic. Yeah.
which is wild.
Because it's so
Ugh.
beautiful in my brain. I don't know how
Yeah.
they can replicate that.
It's definitely one that I want to see on the big screen. I want
100%.
to
Yes.
be in space.
I want to be
Can
in
we go ahead
space.
when we finish this recording and just go ahead and buy our tickets, please?
Good idea.
Yeah, I think they're on sale now.
They are on sale.
All right.
Last thing
Well,
I do want to
Anybody else
mention,
wanna? Yeah.
because Rocky got his mate back. Because remember how he was separated from his, I don't know what they call
Yes.
it, mate or whatever, but he gets her back.
I
And he
Yeah.
gets to live with her. And that was also really, really, really sweet. And I loved that a lot.
And I love
I
that.
love that a lot.
Well, that is a wrap on our episode of Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I don't want it to end
Loved
because
it.
this is just a fun, even though we love romantasy and we love fantasy, I find this episode to be very refreshing to talk
Yes.
about something new and different themes, different tropes from what we normally cover. So it was really fun doing this with you ladies.
Found
It
family.
Found family, that's right. Next, we will be deep diving into Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. There will be 7 episodes. We will do 1 world building episode and then 6 chapter divided deep dive episodes. The world building episode and episode 1 are both going to air on March 27th.
Ooh.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us this week. Be sure to like, follow, rate, and comment on our podcast wherever it is you are listening. And follow us on our social media channels at Banter and Bookmarks so we can continue to find more unhinged fantasy and science fiction readers like you.
We also have a Patreon channel. For only $5 a month, you can now be a book dragon. Our monthly subscriptions include monthly book club, often featuring the book author, and early access to episodes, membership to our private Discord channel, merchandise discounts, and free hugs at events. So come join the fun with us today. And thank you all so much for joining us for book club this week. Happy reading. Bye.
Bye. Jazz hands.
Amaze. Social
Fist
discomfort.
my bump.
It's my bump.
No talk.